Imagine being told your newborn son has less than 24 hours to live. I remember touring the hospital, seeing the birthing rooms and the emergency room. Little did I know that I would be the one rushed in there for an emergency C-section. And 48 hours later, the nurse was wheeling me down to the neonatal intensive care so my husband and I could say goodbye. Lying there on his back, my son looked like a very sick little frog. Legs splayed out, body puffed up on IV fluids, hooked up to a ventilator that was forcing 100% oxygen into his lungs at 600 breaths a minute. As I stroked his head and talked to him, he fought through the drugs and against the ventilator, trying to respond. And I was told, stop touching him, stop speaking to him. So I couldn't even say goodbye. The next morning, against all hope, he was alive, and I was focused solely on one prayer, but I was dying inside. And then the phone rang. It was a neighbor. The night before, they'd had a prayer circle, and she saw an angel, hands on my son's chest, healing him. Crying, I hung up, too afraid to believe, but immediately the phone rang again. This time it was the neonatal doctor calling to say God must want this baby boy alive, because for some reason he turned around last night and we think he's going to make it. He'll be in ICU at least 3 more weeks. He will have severe asthma due to the scar tissue caused from the ventilator, and he'll probably be blind because of the 100% oxygen. Yet 7 days later, he was home. No blindness, no asthma, no nothing. Just a beautiful baby boy. Yet in 4 weeks, feeling my job was oh so important, there I was at the office, my son lying on a blanket on the floor, so I could have this oh so important meeting. I don't remember that meeting, but I can recall vividly the horror I felt when I realized what I had done. Raised to believe that I was stupid, ugly, worthless, and less than. I had spent my life trying to prove my father wrong by excelling at work. But in that moment, I realized I was treating my son as less than, just like I had been treated. And I had a choice to make, be like my father or be different. Well, 7 years later, my son discovered river dance. Thank you, PBS, because that broadcast of river dance changed our lives. Who knew, right? Who knew that at age 7, he would discover his passion? And 7 years after that, he became a world champion Irish step dancer for the first time. 8 years later, he won again. And in between was filled with triumph and heartbreak and humility and resilience and resolution and perseverance. But you see, he's only one character in this story. 20 months after I had our son, I was pregnant again, having complications and scared to death. A C-section was scheduled, but I went in labor the night before. So at the hospital, I was told the C-section is out and a natural birth is in. Well, despite complications, our incredibly precocious baby girl was born healthy. But I swear, she was born already in her terrible 2s. And she stayed there through her 3s. How does that even happen? From a young age, she was confident and commanding. At 3, she would go to our neighbor's house, knock on the door, and hold out her hand for candy. No words, just talk to the hand. I was in awe of this creature and, frankly, just a little scared. But then puberty hit, and self-confidence went down for the count. Fast forward with me 17 years and picture this, a little short Spitfire, eyes flashing, dimples dimpling, playing offensive midfielder soccer, and had moments so brilliant she was recruited for soccer at college. But equal moments of profound insecurity and self-doubt. Let me tell you, that first year of college, for all of us, was one of those pivotal years, not moments, years, that can make you or break you. The college culture wound up being toxic. The coach who recruited her left, the new coach floundered, and the team struggled. I can remember driving back home one weekend, looking in the rearview mirror to see my baby girl standing alone, tears streaming down, facing another semester at a college that was crushing her spirit. It was one of the hardest things as a parent we had to do, not rescue our child. Let her decide whether to stay or go, pack it up or pack it in. Well, she stayed, she made it through that year, she discovered resilience, regained her confidence. She visited other colleges, made her decision, and transferred. And the little girl, too timid to ask a sales clerk to use the dressing room, blossomed into this incredible young woman. So, I'm the mom of a champion. But who's the champion? And what is a champion? You know, I thought the word meant winner, but I was wrong. The word champion comes from the Latin word campio, and it means fighter. And when I learned that, it was a game changer because I knew I was the mom of two champions. So there I was, early on, both a soccer mom and a stage mom. And I mean that in the best possible way, except that I was struggling and trying to find out what being a parent really meant. The role, not the task, not the definition, not even the love, but the role. Looking for role models in other parents, I often felt like it was the blind leading the blind. And I'm not talking eyesight, I'm talking insight. Because too often I met parents who wanted their children to feel worthy when they received accolades from the world, from a world that loves winners only until another winner comes along. And I decided then my role needed to be enabling my children to be champions for life. But to do that, I had to be a champion mom. I had to unlock the champion in me. And that took courage and choice and time to move from an upbringing of I am less than to a life of I am worthy and strong and resilient and great. No, not perfect, but I'm great because of, not in spite of, my past. I learned many things on my journey to be a champion mom, such as perspective. You know, much of being a winner is outside our control, but being a champion for life isn't. And when we choose to blame others for our failures and our situations, we diminish our self-worth and keep ourselves victims. And I learned a little bit about value. When we define champion to be a winner only in one moment, we undervalue what comes next in our lives. Because you see, true mastery, it's more than 10,000 hours. It is what we do in those hours and in the hours of our life that matters. Because you see, I'm choosing to be a champion. And what happens when we are a champion is that we have moments of that glory that can take over and help us achieve what it is we want our children to achieve. I want you to think about the movie Rocky, Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. Do you remember that? And he, in his pivotal moment, Rocky running up the steps to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, arms raised to the sky in triumph. But it wasn't about being able to win the title. It was about going the distance. Rocky said, if I can go the distance and that bell rings and I am still standing, then I'm going to know for the first time in my life that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood. Being champions for life transcends moments of greatness and moments of failure, moments of courage and moments of weakness. So, I'm a champion, a mom of champions, and I'm a champion mom. And I hope you will choose to go the distance with me and be champions for life and bring your children along with you, not just as winners of the dance or of the soccer game or of the Olympics or of the grade, but a champion for life. Champions because of who we are, not just because of what we did. Thank you.